Morning musings from the tiny little studio on this tiny little Greek island. It is really quite a beautiful morning. We've got some sunshine today after that, 4 days of rain and wind and bad internet. Today is the start of a new week. And because I did this little series of uploads, a podcast, the newsletter, a blog post, and a YouTube video, plus a video podcast of this idea that I was talking about last week, the 5 really important things to do, the habits, the 5 basic habits, essential habits that we need to build in our creative tiny little studios that will that really nourish, keep those coals burning for your creative fires, I guess, is how I think about it, right? It's things that a lot of people don't really even think about. You think about setting goals like, okay, well, in this next painting, I'm going to do this and this and this. And what I'm talking about is not the actual painting. It's the support around the painting. And the first one, I'll talk a little bit about that today, is your dedicated workspace, that your studio. Where is your tiny little studio? And if you're one of those out there, lucky ones, who has a big, beautiful studio, more power to you. But even that place, that space, needs to be your dedicated workspace. But most people, especially beginners out there who are looking to move into this creative realm, it is really important. It's really important to have a dedicated space, especially if you are in a home with others and you haven't got a dedicated room for your tiny little studio. When you are building your tiny little studio, it is really more about this tiny little studio, this area in here. Yes, you must have a physical, dedicated workspace. It's very important, trust me, especially if you are one of those like me who really can get distracted easily. So before I had this space in here and I was in the living room with my family and they were watching a movie, my girls were young, I guess around 14, 15 years old, right? And we had a very small space. And I just set up my easel, and I had a little storage thing, those kinds that you put your onions and potatoes and things in. I had one of those, and I put a board on top of that with a glass palette, or I had back then also the disposable palettes, and I was using that. And in order for me to get into my painting, to come into that space, I put on my headphones always, always had to have the headphones. And back then they were tied up to, they were hooked up onto, onto the phone. Oh gosh, I had an iPod back then. That's what I had, an iPod. You guys remember those things? And so I put the headphones in and put on my music, and because I was right in the middle of everything, right between the living room and the kitchen, there was no wall. It was like all, you know, it was a tiny little apartment for the four of us. And I needed something. I needed something to put me in the zone, to get me, okay, I'm painting now. This is my space. This is me. No matter what's going on next to me, this is where I am right now. I'm dedicating myself to this dedicated space in order for me to release that beautiful creative energy that flows through us. And so I would put on a baseball hat. You think, what? A baseball hat. That's what I did. The baseball hat was this beautiful trick in my mind. It was like when I put that hat on, boom, there I was. I was there, and it was it saved me. I never would have been able to paint without the baseball hat. Seriously, would not have been able to come into that balanced, creative place without those cues to work with, because I didn't have my own little studio where I could come in and shut the door and be just me in this space with my stuff around. And that is the number one thing. It is the first thing, especially if you're beginning to start painting or creating. Even if you're writing, you need to have your dedicated space, that place where you come and you sit down and you write, and everything else disappears. And if you're already an artist and one of those that, like me, can get highly distracted and go from here to there and, you know, get yourself a dedicated space. Have it be your space, yours, and honor it, especially if you're a type like me, right? Honor it. Keep like blowing on those coals that are just lightly burning, because that is where that creative fire will come from. Is from things like this, your dedicated workspace, your dedicated studio. So if you're not doing that, do it today. Like, don't even wait. Do it today. Other things going on in the tiny little studio today is, well, I'm planning a new video. This is for all of you guys out there who who are artists, and you're thinking, should I do a YouTube channel? I don't know. Like, and it's kind of scary, especially for if you're older like me and you're coming into it and you're like, what is all of this? Where do I go? How does it happen? So I'm putting together a new series for you out there who want an art channel, but are kind of scared and hesitant and like, oh, I don't know, there's so many other artists out there. What could I possibly add to that huge pot of artists, right? but you have something that no one else has. And I'm going to start doing videos on that and getting anybody out there who is kind of interested in saying, well, maybe, I don't know. I saw the other day this man, an 82-year-old man who had just started a YouTube channel. And I was like, there you go. There you go. And you think what? That this man doesn't have things to say? Oh boy. So that's on my list for today, is putting together the structure of this new video. I'm going to be filming it today. I hope that is the plan. Filming it today, getting it going, and it'll be kind of like a series of videos for those of you out there who are thinking about it but not sure. And I'm here to tell you that do it. Just do it, right? Do it. You cannot even begin to imagine. You cannot even begin to imagine it's joy, right? The joy of it. I'm not finding the right word. Where's my brazen hearted to help me find the right word? It's not satisfaction, although it is. I mean, it is deeply satisfying doing this, but not because you get followers. That's not it. The satisfaction, of course, also comes from the community that's growing, but it's something else. It is something else. And I'm going to be talking about that in these upcoming videos. So if you're interested, I'm kind of curious to see how many of you out there think about it, or maybe you started that YouTube channel, but you just haven't developed it. You just haven't put it forward because it seems like such a huge, daunting task. And yeah, in the beginning, it is daunting in certain ways. I will say, at least for me, it was. It isn't for everyone. So, those are the plans for the week, and I've got some other things like this painting that I'm working on. Oh, it's so exciting, this painting. I really like this one. And you know what? What's frightening about that, when you really like something you're painting and you're not finished with it, it's what if? What if I mess it up? What if it doesn't turn out? And because when you get emotionally invested in something that you do and then it goes south, you're like, ah! So I really like this painting, and I want to spend some time on it. So this is my the focus of this week's painting. Remember I talked about, if you watched my video or read my blog posts, it is these basic essential tasks, and the one that I spend time reflecting and setting goals for the following week. That's what I did yesterday, and this painting right here is my goal for this following week, along with my new videos and this and that. But as far as painting goes, it's this here. So I am emotionally invested in it. It's a personal emotional investment, and that's not a very positive thing to cultivate. It's not. It's best to come to your painting without your own personal wants or needs, your ego needs, right? It's best to come to your painting that way. And then you can allow the painting to happen. You will do the best that you can, but you will allow the painting to happen without the attachments to it. I am attached to this one, and we'll see how that turns out in the end. It might turn out really good, but it might also be one of those failures. We shall see. We shall see. And failure meaning not like total bombed out, that's not going to happen here, but it just might be a little bit less than what I expected. It might be something that just didn't click. And failures come at all sorts of different levels. And yes, I use the word failure consciously because we are all so stuck on words, especially in the culture in the United States. And let's just call it what it is, right? When something doesn't go well, there's failure in there. And failure is not a horrible word. It's not. It is and should be, in my humble opinion, the energy behind growth. I mean, we should look at our failures, everything that doesn't turn out in our lives, and go, oh man, okay, cool. This went south. What am I going to learn from it? Where are my lessons? How can I grow from this failure, big or small, doesn't matter, or anywhere in between? That's all it is. And there's never a full failure in a painting. It's always partial. Just as within us, we never completely, fully fail. A part of us does, for whatever reasons, right? There's a part of us that is imperfect. Really. So when you can look at and embrace those parts, that's the only time that we are able to grow, that we're able to become balanced, that we're able to open up to that deep, authentic love that we all are. And so same thing happens in your painting, right? Same thing. All right, you guys, I'm going to get on with my day, be inspired, be creative, be you. Have a beautiful week.